As an artist, what voice are you listening to? Because we know we all have voices. All of us have voices in our heads all the time. The voices that tell us to get out of bed, the voices that tell us we're not good enough, the voices that tell us that we're wonderful, whatever the voice is. What voice are you listening to as an artist, as a creator? Now, I'm here live, again, live, because it's my AI protest, because I want to make this without editing it. I don't have a script. I am just talking. That's all I'm doing. And I'm talking from my heart, because that is something that AI can't do. Look around. I don't have a screen in front of me. I'm going to be as real as I can be, because what we can do when we are real is we can actually heal. And art is the most powerful healing thing that I know. But what happens is that we're listening to voices that tell us crazy stuff. And I'm here at the loom. You can't see it. Let me see if I can help you see it. Working on a piece that's, oh my gosh, I finished all of this hand plied. And then I was sitting here thinking to myself, I'm too tired to do my live. I need to rest. And what I did instead was put the goats away. I have fiber goats. I put them away in their little house. And the sun was setting, beautiful, beautiful orange, gorgeous colors. And I was walking back, and a heron, I love herons. They have really deep meaning to me. Actually, it goes back to when I had 4 kids and I lost a baby about halfway through a pregnancy. And the heron was the sign for me when I felt like I couldn't go on. Actually chokes me up a little to think about it. So I was coming back, and the heron went, and I thought, I actually do have the energy it takes to share and do a live. But what I want to talk about actually is the voice that we're listening to, because most of us are tuned into a voice, and it's the voice of the world, and it's the voice of the clock. I want to say clock, whatever the heck. Nobody wears that. It's the voice of the phone. What time is it? It's the voice that tells us we have to be productive in this way from 9 to 5 or from 5 to 9 or whatever amount of time we have. When actually, the voice that we want to tune into is the voice of the muse. And I don't know who's talking about the muse, because whenever I put it into my SEO, whatever I'm doing with whatever this is, YouTube, nothing is there. So I don't think people are talking about the voice of the muse. So when I say muse, I mean deep intuition. There are probably a lot of other synonyms that we could get into. But when we are listening to the voice of the muse, I'll tell you something about her. She's not a taskmaster. She doesn't sound like your mom. She doesn't sound like your dad. She doesn't sound like your mean grandma or your mean grandpa. And she doesn't sound like the mean girl who lived down the road from you or went to junior high with you. The voice of the muse isn't mean. And that myth of the artist, the struggling, suffering, depressed artist, oh my gosh, we have got to get rid of it, because that's the voice, the mean voice. You've got to do this. You got to be better. You got to be perfect. You got to be good. People have been sharing some ideas in the comments about, the voices in our heads that keep us from working, that keep us from creating, that keep us from creating authentically, from being real. Like, maybe we're creating over there, but what are we creating? I don't know. Maybe we're too busy creating to take a shower and get better bangs. That would be me. Can I show you the piece? I'm wearing a piece. If you didn't see me last week, I was wearing it in a very far out way. And tonight, look, it's become this beautiful tunic vest, right? And the voice of the muse definitely guided me on this one, because I had a warp for this piece right here on this, my floor loom, many colored, and it was going to be one of my mystical mystery scarves that had actually already been commissioned. So I was making it specifically for someone in all these beautiful colors. And every time I tried to make this piece, I picked up turquoise. But that's not what this woman wanted. She wanted pinks. She wanted actually very light pink, this very light pink. And I would put it in, I took it out. I put it in, I took it, weaving, unweaving, weaving, unweaving, until finally I got it, that I was not making the piece I thought I was making. Another piece wanted to be made. And I think this is spectacular. I'm sure the colors aren't showing up, but it's really just gorgeous. It's like a mermaid under the sea. And that's the voice of the muse often has us doing things we don't want to do, or leading us in directions that seem kind of weird, or possibly that bring up shame or discomfort or awkwardness or surprise. That's a very different voice than the voice that says to us, you got to go do something, you got to go produce something, hurry up, you're too late already. So the voice that's mean goes by the clock. It's the voice of the culture. It's the voice of the world. It's the voice of productivity. Here's my experience of actual lived creativity. And as some of you know, oh, for heaven's sakes, I forgot to say, this is Sam from thesamanthawild.com. Thank you for joining me in my AI live protest. I am so real that I'm just talking off my heart, hopefully not off my head. And I'm the mother of 6, and I'm a nationally juried fiber artist, and I am a published novelist, and I'm a part-time fiber farmer, a spiritual mentor, an ordained minister, and a Yale-trained feminist theologian. And the mother of 6. Did I lead with that? And in my experience of trying to get all that heck stuff done in the middle of all the things that I have to do, my experience is you have to listen to the voice of the muse, because what she has to give you is actual real rhythms that sustain creativity. The voice of the world, the voice of the mean girl, the voice of the clock. I'm going to keep fixing my bangs. I'm really unhappy with them. All of that will give you is exhaustion. And that's why I want to go back to the story when I thought, oh, I don't have time to do this. And I took this little walk outside and I saw the heron and I saw the sun setting. And I thought, well, I do have time actually. And I can do it. Because that moment really just refilled me enough to be able to come and share with you and hopefully inspire you. So the world has this constant, linear, directive, nonstop train. And the voice of the muse, our depth intuition, our creative spirituality, what I call mystical creativity, it's rhythmic, it's cyclical. And what happens is if you do happen to have a lot of kids like I do, or a lot of responsibilities, or a day job, or elderly parents, or people you're taking care of, or you're working with your own limitations, the voice of the muse allows for rhythms that are very natural. For example, for me, postpartum is a very productive time. I don't know why. I know that's not true for a lot of people, but every time after I have a baby, I can make, and I have so many ideas. And then after about a year, something sort of tanks, the energy kind of goes down. But the muse allows for rhythms to come. So, let's say you haven't created or haven't created authentically the way you want to in 2 months or 3 months or 4 months or 6 months or a year. It doesn't matter. So the voice of the world will tell you you're not a real artist, you're not a real creator, you're not producing enough or at the right speed or at the right rate. But the voice of the muse doesn't do that. It's like a conversation years ago I had with one of my yoga students. She was saying, it's so interesting how people look around at wintertime and they go, the trees are dead. But the trees aren't dead during winter, obviously. They are in a latency. You don't have their leaves out, but that doesn't mean they're dead. And this is part of what we learn from that divine intuition of the muse, is that we also are cyclical, and we might have times where we're less fruiting, we're producing less. Even my apple trees, for example, have years that they make more and years that they have less. And this is because they're listening, right? They're attuned to that voice, that deep mystical voice. Why mystical? Because mystical is what connects us to source. And that's very powerful, because if you're connected to your phone, if you're connected to the clock, if you're connected to the culture, if you're connected to the world, if you're connected to the mean voices of your parents or your friends or your children or whatever, that's not going to connect you to source, because none of those things are your source. That mean girl, she's not your source. She's not my source. And thank goodness for that. And the clock is not our source. It doesn't feed us. It doesn't sustain us. So I go walk outside. I see the sunset. I see that heron. Just refills the well. And then here I come with something to give. So while you're listening, think about, is that actually the voice you want to be attuned to? Maybe that's the voice that says, why aren't you good enough? Why haven't you made more? Your stuff is too crappy or too weird or too unusual. Or nobody's going to like it. Is that the voice of the muse? 100% of the time. Anything mean is not the muse. 100% of the time. The voice of our muse that fuels us is a kind voice and a gracious voice and a countercultural voice. That's really important right now. And it's important to me because that's part of why I'm doing what I'm doing, being here. And as much as possible, I mean, I'm using this platform. So it's not like I'm counterculture. I'm not just out in my backyard chatting with the squirrels or whoever the heck walks by and wants to hear me. But here in this space, to resist, to express different ways of being, listening, hearing, learning, and creating. With my pieces, I create improvisationally, I create spontaneously, I don't have a plan. When I come on to share my inspiration on YouTube, might have a general sense. I like to have a title before I begin. But a lot of times, other than that, there's nothing. And that's because we want the heart to speak. We want the heart to speak. And there's got to be something in the heart. And we want the heart to create. If you are so tuned into the voice of the world, or so tired, or so worried about whether you're going to be successful, or so convinced it's too late for you, or you're not good enough, it's pretty hard to listen to the voice of the heart. Now, sometimes it's impossible. I mean, I have very loud children. So I know if voices are very loud, you can't hear anything. My little one was talking to me at school pickup today, my kindergartner, and somebody was leaf blowing or weed whacking or something literally right in front of us. And she was like, bop, 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 bop. I said, this is so loud, I can't hear anything you're saying. And this really is an experience that we have where we are so tuned in to voices that are so loud that we cannot hear the heart, we cannot hear our depth intuition, we cannot get connected to the mystic, and we have no idea how the muse may be leading us. And in order to shift your path, in order to begin to come away from that voice, it's not as simple as changing a radio station, in my experience. I think it takes time and devotion, willingness, openness, and discomfort. And I said that in the beginning, to be uncomfortable, like in the creation of this piece, to be wrong, to be willing to do something different or weird or awkward or unusual, something that brings up difficult feelings inside of you. And I do believe that when we do that, we expand, our hearts expand. It's like the Grinch. The heart can grow 3 sizes. And the bigger heart is the heart that can listen and be attuned to the voice of the muse instead of just being attuned to the voice of the world, which is something we're all expert at. We're all very, very good at listening to the voice of the world. So I encourage you to begin to tune in, so to silence that those mean voices is very hard. I actually think it's really just easier to start to tune in somewhere else, and over time, perhaps we can quiet those mean voices down. But I don't know. I think people really focus on that. They think, okay, I'm going to get rid of those voices and then I'll be able to create. I don't know. I think that could take a really long time and be very difficult. But just in the same way, we could literally turn our attention. Okay, maybe that voice is going to still yada, yada, but I'm going to turn my attention, see if I can't hear, and practice listening to a deeper voice. Remember, this voice is kind, it's cyclical, it's rhythmic. It's going to follow as the seasons do. I don't mean necessarily, spring, winter, fall, summer, but it's going to follow a similar sense of rhythm for you in your life. Less productive times, more productive times, more tired times, more energized times. And that is this sort of gentle holding and molding. And as we slowly listen to it a little bit more, the heart opens, and the ears of the heart then become open and we can actually hear. So that's what I'm thinking about quite literally for myself as I think about being tired and what I have to give and where my resources are and how I refill my well. I hope that was useful for you. And just to say again, for those who don't know me, I am Sam from thesamanthawild.com. I hope you will visit my weaving shop. This piece isn't in it, but if you love it, you can always send me a message. It's going to go out with my weekly letter. I have a very special community that receives my weekly letter every Wednesday. You can sign up for that on my website at thesamanthawild.com. I love it. That's my inner circle of people, and it's very special. I share my works in progress, things on my heart, things in my family, things in my life, and of course my pieces, and they get first dibs on things that are there. So check out the website, and thank you super much for being here. Please put in the comments, what voice do you think you're listening to? And have you experimented with listening to the voice of the muse? I'll be very curious to know who is musing. Okay, look how it was 16 minutes. I chatted for a long time. Thanks for being here, and thank you to all my new subscribers. Don't forget, thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Then you know every time one of these comes out. Have a really creative night.